Guys, Matt V's Movies back for another video, and today is another Matt's movie review. And the film we're going to be looking at today is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Now, I picked this up recently from a charity shop for the princely sum of 20 pence. Fantastic bargain, this one. This is the director's cut on it. I do have the film as part of a 10-disc set of all Star Trek films up to Star Trek Nemesis, but it didn't have the director's cut on, so this was the version that I actually watched, the director's edition, which is, I think there's a few minutes of extra footage on there, nothing really noticeable to be honest, but yeah, I wanted to sort of check out the picture quality. Yeah, I watched this film recently and put it through a projector, and yeah, I thought I'd give you my thoughts on the film, some trivia, some film facts, all this sort of thing. And what sort of inspired me to watch this film, I was lucky enough to partake in an interview that Video Tasties, Gareth over at Video Tasties, go and check out his channel, great channel. He had the director of The Wrath of Khan and The Undiscovered Country, both Star Trek films, fantastic films in that series. He had him on his channel, and I was lucky enough to sort of ask him some questions in person on the chat. And if you go back to my playlist, I've got a playlist that if you look in the Star Trek playlist, you can find it in there. There's also a live stream playlist. I've got playlists for everything, so if you want to go and have a look, you know, whatever you're interested in, hopefully there'll be something there. But yeah, it's a fairly recent video, so it's sort of probably not that too far down the page as of recording this, but obviously if you're watching this in the future, yeah, go and check that video out. It's sort of an edited version of the full stream. Obviously you can find the full interview on Gareth's Video Tasties YouTube channel. Highly recommend going and watching it in full, but if you want to just see sort of the edited version, it's about 20 odd minutes of me asking a question which is being answered about Sherlock Holmes, and then further down the video it's actually me in person on the live stream asking him a couple of questions about the Wrath of Khan and the Undiscovered Country. Just before we get into the review, just want to show you an extra couple of little bits sort of link into this whole thing. I did show this on a Star Trek collection video, but it's an official movie poster magazine that I've kept. Came out back in the day for Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, and again, if you look in the playlist, the Star Trek playlist, you should find it in there. And I'll kind of open all of this up, just show you the back. It shows cast and crew on there, and I do believe you probably see, there we go, the man himself, Nicholas Meyer, the director, who, as I say, I spoke to on that live stream. Fantastic, you know, very informative interview. You know, he goes into great detail. Really, you know, very knowledgeable man, very well educated. So yeah, there's that one, and also the 6th film, again directed by Nicholas Meyer, which was Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country. And I'll probably do a review for this as well. I'm going to go through and do reviews for all the Star Trek films one by one. So yeah, sort of watch out for those future Matt movie reviews on each Star Trek film. Okay, so let's get on with the review today, and on Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan came out in 1982, and it was a certificate 12 in the UK. It ran for 2 hours. Admiral Kirk's midlife crisis is interrupted by the return of an old enemy, the evil Khan, who is looking for revenge and a potential destructive device. The release date in the UK was the 16th of July 1982, and this was directed by Nicholas Meyer. The box office was $97 million US, and the budget was between $11 and $12 million. Music was composed by James Horner. Cast included William Shatner as Admiral James T. Kirk, Leonard Nimoy as Captain Spock, Ricardo Montalban as Khan Noonien Singh, DeForest Kelley as Leonard McCoy, James Doonan as Scotty, Walter Conning as Pavel Chekhov, Nichelle Nichols as Uhura, Kirstie Alley as Savik, George Takei as Hikaru Sulu, Merritt Buttrick as David Marcus, and Bibi Besh as Carol Marcus. So on to some trivia about the film. Producer Harve Bennett viewed all the episodes of Star Trek the original series and chose Star Trek the original series episode Space Seed, which aired in 1967, as the best candidate for a sequel. Spock even remarks in the script that this would be interesting to return to 100 years or so to see what type of civilization had grown there. This is the first time a feature film was made as a sequel to a specific television series episode. The famous Space, the Final Frontier monologue is heard for the first time since Star Trek the original series, now narrated by Leonard Nimoy. However, this has been changed slightly. Instead of saying its 5-year mission and to seek out new life, this now says her ongoing mission and to seek out new life forms. In the Blu-ray special feature, The Captain's Log, Ricardo Montalban says that once he committed to this film, he realised that he had trouble getting back into the character Khan. After years of playing Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island, which aired in 1977, he found that he was stuck in that character. He requested a tape of the Star Trek original series episode Space Seed from Paramount Studios and proceeded to watch it repeatedly. By the third or fourth watching, he had recaptured the essence of Khan's character. Although Gene Roddenberry created Starfleet in Star Trek the original series with a military structure, he deliberately avoided getting very detailed on the nature of that structure, what he called excessive militarism. However, director Nicholas Meyer decided to further expand this part of the Star Trek mythos, making the uniforms and insignia more military in style, adding a ship's bell and boatswain whistle, and writing the dialogue to be more accurate to actual naval protocol. These details have greatly influenced the film and the spin-off series that followed. Just after Admiral Kirk steps aboard, Scotty, played by James Doonan, says he had a wee boat, but Dr. McCoy pulled me through. Actually, this was a reference to Doonan's heart attack, which took place just before filming began. And finally, the phrase, "To the last I grapple with thee, from hell's heart I stab at thee, for hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee," is taken from Captain Ahab's speech in the novel Moby Dick, 1851, by Herman Melville. Just one final last piece of trivia, had to say this. One of Admiral Kirk's antiques is a Commodore PET computer from the 1980s. Okay, so on to the actual Blu-ray edition that I watched. As I say, I picked this up from a charity shop for 20 pence, you know, fantastic bargain. Really nice artwork on this one, with all the main characters. There's the spine. And then if we look at the back, and you can see there's a wealth of extras on here. You've got the director's cut, which is the cut that I watched. and obviously the theatrical version. And there's commentary by Nicholas Meyer, who I was able to sort of ask a few questions on in person, which was a wonderful experience. So yeah, I need to sort of listen to that commentary at some point. That would be very interesting to listen to. But you can see there's a lot of special features here as well. And then you can see it's a 240:1 widescreen aspect ratio. It's got a Dolby True HD 7.1 surround on it. And yeah, I have to say this was fantastic sound. I believe even the 4K doesn't have an Atmos track on it. It's got that 7.1. But to be honest, yeah, it was a wonderful, wonderful mix. You know, good left and right separation, good rear effects, good dialogue from the front, bass. You know, there's a lot of explosions in this, sort of the ship, you know, firing on each other and this kind of thing. So yeah, and also we can see here the director's cut with a running time of 116 minutes, with the theatrical running at 113. So there's an extra 3 minutes of footage, and to be honest, I think it's kind of incorporated throughout the film. I didn't really notice anything different. Maybe a couple of scenes that were slightly altered, but nothing significant. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just open up, there's your plain disc, your typical affair from Paramount. And so on to the picture quality. Yeah, I mean, I put this through the projector. Obviously I put it into a 4K player, so it upscaled the picture. I had simulation HDR on my projector, so it added that HDR when needed. And to be honest, I was thoroughly pleased with the picture quality on this one. You know, it's a very good transfer. I mean, I obviously haven't got the 4K, but I can't obviously see much more of an improvement from what I've heard. I think, you know, this pretty much is probably the master that they used for the 4K. They probably just put the HDR implementation on that 4K disc. The sound is the same. But yeah, it was a thoroughly great picture. You know, subtle grain in it, but it had some sort of deep blacks. Obviously I'm not looking on an OLED, I'm looking on a projector screen, so it's not going to be as deep blacks as an OLED. So maybe that's where the 4K, certainly through an OLED screen, probably may shine a bit above this one. But from what I've heard, I don't think there's a huge leap between the Blu-ray and the 4K, certainly on this sort of director's cut anyway. So yeah, I was you know, very pleased with it, and I've got no intention of actually upgrading to the 4K on this one. As I say, I've got the film twice in a 10 disc set, and obviously this standalone director's cut, which yeah, I'm thoroughly happy with. Again, this is, you know, a wonderful entry, the second film. Obviously I recently reviewed the motion picture, which is a very different film to this, has a very different feel. That film is more about discovery of a new life form, you know, sort of seeking out new life, etc. Still good character development, but this film is far more about almost like a cat and mouse kind of situation. Obviously Kirk and Khan going up against each other. There's a very sort of war kind of feel to it, a submarine sort of feel. You've obviously got the USS Reliant that's taken over by Khan and his crew, going up against the Enterprise with the Starfleet crew headed by obviously Admiral Kirk. And yeah, certainly in that scene with the Mutara Nebula, there's a very much a sort of submarine-esque war feel to it, you know, sort of tactics and you know, sort of firing on each other. So very much more action based, this film. Huge characters in this one. I mean, fantastically played by Ricardo Montalban, reprising his role as Khan from the original series. He's, you know, a fantastic actor, really sort of, you know, quite menacing and you know, wanting revenge, and you know, you could see the hate in his eyes. It was absolutely amazing acting, you know. And equally, you know, the character of Kirk is focused more on in this film. He's dealing with sort of getting older, you know, and then obviously finding out that Khan has reappeared, and you know, that sort of opening up old wounds, you know. And I mean, it focuses on all of the characters to some degree, but obviously the three main characters, Kirk, Spock and McCoy, you know, there. But all characters get good screen time, and obviously you get that wonderful scene towards the end of the film where obviously Spock goes down to the engineering room, and he has to perform an act which, you know, floods himself with radiation, you know, sort of to save the crew. And it's just that wonderful piece of movie magic, that scene between him and Kirk, and it gets me every time. Even though I know, you know, the return of Spock in The Search for Spock in the third film, it still brings a tear to my eye, this film, even when I watched it recently. You know, it's just so well acted between the two main characters. The dialogue between the two, it's, you know, so emotionally charged. It's pure cinematic, one of those cinematic moments that kind of always stays with you. It's wonderful. And they kind of capture that in the third film, Search for Spock. They bring that scene back, because from my point of view, I was watching this film when there was no Search for Spock. It hadn't even come out. So we were watching this film when we didn't know whether Spock was going to sort of come back to life. You know, we thought that was it. So it was even more powerful at the time. It's just a wonderful film. And this is why, sort of, within the Star Trek community, this is such a revered film, one of the best films of the Star Trek feature films. For me, certainly the best. I mean, I really love the motion picture, but this one, you know, it's just got everything in it. It's a truly wonderful film. Guys, that was just a look at the film, The Wrath of Khan. As I say, wonderful revisiting this one. As I say, I watched the director's cut, and you know, it upscales fantastically. It looked really good picture, great sound, fantastic story, great visuals. You know, what more can you ask for, really? You know, it's just one of those iconic films. Certainly for me, you know, I think it's, you know, it's probably the best of the films. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. So as I say, yeah, I'll keep looking at the next films. You know, the remaining Star Trek, the original crew. There's another 4 films to look at, and then we've got the 4 films of the Next Generation. So yeah, I'll you know, I'll review those at some points, and do a similar format. You know, sort of a bit of trivia, my thoughts on the film facts, all this kind of thing. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please come back for more if you have. And yeah, if you're new, really do appreciate if you could subscribe. And yeah, great if you can leave a comment. You know, what are your thoughts on this film? Did you really like Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, or have you got another favourite film of the films? You know, Star Trek films, both original crew and Next Generation. Be really interested to hear your thoughts. And you've also got the Kelvin timeline, which is focusing on an alternate universe of Kirk and Spock and McCoy and all the other characters. Anyway, thanks very much for watching the video, guys. Take care, and see you in the next one. Bye now.